Pledge allegiance and moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Charles Busuttil.
You with us, Chuck?
Okay, Heidi Campbell.
Here.
Ray Pribiloff.
Here.
Janice Pasco.
Here.
Heather Arneal Roberts.
Here.
Phil Clark.
Here.
Sharon Stiltner. Here. Chuck Busuttil. Mr. Busuttil? Okay, Mr. President, we
awesome.
have a quorum.
All right.
He's in the bathroom.
He'll be back.
Sitting on a golf course.
We must not have called him or got him on
He was on, it looked like. This reminds me of like one of the first
Yeah,
board
here you
meetings I
go.
went to.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, Chuck.
Okay, I'm back.
All right.
Okay,
got
Charles
Chuck.
Busuttil.
Yes, here, present.
Thank you.
Great. Recognitions and presentations?
Yep. As you know, we had to reschedule our meeting from January due to some bad weather, and we did that earlier in February, but we had talked about moving the school board recognition presentations back to this meeting. So tonight we have students from different levels here to share some information for the school board. So I'll start out with the high school first, since they always, they got to go through this all the time. So.
Okay, we are from the Student Council. I'm the president and Gina, secretary. And we're here because we would like to thank you guys, school board, for doing everything that you have done. We have a token, a gift for you guys all. And we just would like to say thank you for all your hard work and everything you've done. We really appreciate you. Student Council wouldn't be here without you guys. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Those.
I'll keep yours, Chuck.
Chuck, you'll like this gift when you
This is
get
for the
back.
school board.
Okay,
What's on the golf bag?
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, I love it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mrs. Lestage. Let's skip to Millside, absolutely. Absolutely.
Algonquin has done the book nooks in the past where the kids can choose different books to read in genre, and it's been really, really successful. So Millside thought, well, let's try that and let's do that for our young ones. And so we started with first grade, and our first graders are here to present that to you and tell you how it went. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Tadino and Mrs. Grove.
This is on.
Very soft spoken. I don't know if you, have you, Mr. Breathe?
Is this on?
Well, it doesn't go through the room, it's just recording to the camera.
Oh. All right, can they come closer?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Bring 'em
You're not
up.
gonna be able to
Come on up.
hear. They're little tiny.
Bring them up.
Stand right here and Sheila, you gotta be really loud because there's no microphone, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Chad. Hi, my name is Lucy Bonet. We are here from Millside Elementary. Millside is donating a book nook in our honor. A book nook is somewhere where we can go to borrow and enjoy a book. Some of the books in the
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Well, thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Wonderful
Thank you very
job.
much.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, cute.
Chuck, I have your Skittles for you.
Okay, thank you.
What do you got there, Mrs. Lestage?
I emailed you guys the presentation. I just did it at Algonquin and I can't log in here for some reason. But Algonquin also is going to dedicate 2 book notes to the Board of Education this year. In the fall, PTO brought us Jonathan Rand. He presented, the students have been very excited. They even wrote letters to him suggesting that he write a book for Elginak. The Anglers of Elginak is what they thought a great title for it would be. Well, and we had a limited amount of Jonathan Rand books in our library. So after Christmas time, and I went to the 6th grade art students and asked them to help design a book nook for School Board Appreciation Month. They decided they would like to do American chillers and Michigan chillers. So they created 2 book nooks. And they put a really cool spin on it because they thought of things like, we should put up the QR code so you can go up and scan it and then find out about, the certain series and the authors. So they did that, and then our younger students in the building also created bookmarks to put in there so they could make sure that it's a good fit book, and it was my pick. So they are able to follow those down, and there's also cute pictures of them actually making the book nook and that. So I'll send each of those to you guys tomorrow.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you very much for coming tonight. If you guys are all more than welcome to sit around for this rest of this interesting and exciting board meeting. And if you'd like, however, you could grab a cookie on the way out and enjoy the rest of your evening. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too, Danny. You guys will go.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Next presentation tonight, and it was really one, Wayne Wright is here tonight from Neola, and he came out, if you remember, with Wayne Peters earlier to talk a little bit about Neola, and we realized that we're in a position where updating our board policies is something that we need to do at this point. We haven't looked at them in several years. They came out and kind of gave the full spiel last time. We're at a point now, and we had talked in December about, okay, we've decided we're going to do this now, when and how. And so I had just asked if Wayne would be here tonight to answer any questions and maybe talk a little bit how different districts are doing it in terms of timeline, how long it takes, what the process is, and any questions that you guys might have about the process for him, so we could get this underway and up and running. I talked briefly with Wayne, come on up, Wayne, if you'd like. Talked briefly with Wayne just about, how are some people handling this, because we're not the only ones that are moving to Neola. And Wayne, maybe share a little bit about what you're seeing out there and what seems to be working the best.
For the most part, most of the districts in the state are with Neola. I know a year ago, we had over 500 districts that were Neola customers. There's about 550 LEAs and somewhere around 57, 58 RISAs or ISDs. So when you put that together, a little over 600 Plus, I'm finding out now there's a lot of the PSAs also are doing Neola. So the first step that you have to go through is to go through and draft the policy. Now, drafting policy isn't the funnest thing in the world to do. It's a little boring at times. There's a lot of reading. You've got to think what's there inside the policy. There's a lot of choices to make, and you got to think what choices do you want to take. So there's going to be homework for board members. Now, how do you go about doing it? Let me give you a card of mine too. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
want to get a hold of me, everyone? Give it Al one?
Yep, I got one.
You can give Charles one?
Yes.
Kind of the way we've been doing it is the boards have their regular board meetings. They absolutely do not have any time to work on a Neola update during a board meeting. You've got board business that you have to do that has to take place. A lot of them are doing a work session. Now, when they do a work session, maybe all the board members are there, maybe 4 board members are there, maybe 3. And I know board members do a lot of things. Maybe they're on athletic boosters, so they have their own meeting there, or they're a cheerleading coach, or they're a little league football coach or basketball coach, so they can't make it all the time. But what we do is we've given out the policies. They kind of go through them. I mark up a policy because in the policy itself, and it shows your superintendent, there are choices that you need to make. A lot of the stuff within the policy is law, and it's what you have to follow as you go through. But there's also many choices of things that you can do. And it might be, on some of these, there might be 7, 8 choices, and you may want 4 of those 7 choices there, because that's the way you do it here at Elginak. And so that's the way we want to keep it in that manner. So we go through and do that. So what we do is the board reviews it. I usually mark a copy up, and your superintendent will mark a copy up. And we usually I've not compared notes in the past. We'll kind of have a little session and we start talking about it. And we kind of say, Al would probably say, oh, I've chose this one, this one, this one. And I would say, yeah, well, I said, well, maybe you want to consider doing something here, but maybe that's not what you do here. We've done it where we've had, like I said, special board meetings, work sessions, where not all the board came. Usually who was at the board meeting or that work session were board members that needed to be there, was able to be there, the superintendent, myself. We had nobody else. We opened it up with an agenda. We had public comments available. Of course, nobody wanted to be there because that's not the most interesting thing in the world to sit through 3 hours or whatever. There are 10 sections to go through. Bylaws, administrative, programs, professional staff, and so on and so on. We've been normally doing one session or one section, but I think we try to do 2 sections down here. If you wanted to, we could try 2 sections and see how it went. If it takes too long, because after about 3 hours, your mind's gone to there, and we start losing people. So you want to make sure that when we're doing this, everybody's fresh and everybody may make the right decisions for it.
Are you running about 3 hours per session? Is that
Right now,
usually
we're
what it
running
comes
about
out to?
2 hours per
2 hours,
session
okay.
when I do one section.
Yep.
That's why the board, it depends on, and also depends on how much conversation takes place between the board. I don't want this, I think we should have this, no, I think we need to have this. It depends on how much session, how much discussion takes place, goes on between it.
Probably depends, I'm guessing, on the section too.
Yeah.
Some probably a little more cumbersome and
Yep. The first session we would do would be the 9,000s and the bylaws. And the bylaws are what governs the board, and that's pretty important. I know one of the new bylaws, I see you have somebody here being Skyped in.
Yep.
And one of the things is you have a choice, if they're being Skyped in and they participate, can they vote? And you can choose that they can vote or they can't vote. You'll have that, so it's automatic. You done it ahead of time. You know if they can vote or not. So that'll be a board choice.
We had talked a little bit in after you left the last time. Our board seemed that we had talked about possibly a committee, but everybody kind of seemed like they wanted to be part of this last time, so I assume that we would probably be looking, Wayne, at something where we have the full board. And like you said, if somebody can't drops off and can't make one session, that's that happens too. So let's say then best case scenario, if we can knock out 2 sections every time we met, so then you'd be talking 5 different meetings. 5 different meetings over
6 months.
Whatever session, whatever time the board would like to do. If you want to do 1 a month, that would be great. Yeah, I'm still pretty familiar with what districts need. At this time last year, I was doing an intern. I think we came here in December. I don't think I started my internship. I did an intern from January 1 to June 30th last year. My district was about 1,300 kids. I'd been a superintendent in a district that was about 2,000 kids, and it was a superintendent district that was 1,800 kids. So it's very similar to what Algonquin gives. So, I'm pretty familiar with how your operations are.
Okay.
I think.
And so that would be one where we would probably, we'd start with, say, 1 or 2 sessions, whatever it is, and then we'd say, okay, what looks good down the, a couple months down the road or a month down the road, and schedule another meeting, that kind of thing?
That kind of thing, yeah.
Okay.
And you may say, you know what, after we did a couple times, we did 2 sessions, we can't do 2 sections, we need to only do 1. That's what we do.
Do we enact them in? Like, so say we go through 2 sections and we prioritize those. Do we start living by those rules right
No,
then and there?
not the board votes on them, you're just
Well,
drafting right now.
okay, all right.
And then what you have to do is, once we get that stuff, once we get all of the information together, and what I would do is I'd put it back online for you, because we're going through templates, I would enter it into the session for you, so that they could organize it down at Neola. And once we get it done, then they bring it back, and you have to go through a reading, make sure that what we chose was correct. You
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
do it on your own.
Yep.
Do a second reading, and then vote it, and then it's.
After all sessions are done,
You could do
or
it
you
after
could?
5 sessions. If
Okay,
you-
all right.
5 sessions, 5 of the sessions, the sections done if you
Yep,
wanted to.
yep.
Or whatever direction you want to
Okay.
go.
I know when we did it before, I was involved in it, and we had, I honestly can't remember if we had a committee or if it was the full board, but you're right, on some of it, it's really very cut and dry, and it doesn't change, and what you follow is what your law says for Michigan, and then you just go on to the next one. So it's not that you're incorrect on what you're saying, but sometimes it's just not quite as hard. It's time consuming, but nothing difficult,
Good.
to do.
It all depends on the boards, some
True.
boards.
Or if you're in a fighting mood.
How much of this has to align to, so we're talking about doing strategy and vision session this summer, right? Where we kind of revamp those things and objectives. Harmonizing that with this effort seems like might be valuable, or not really, right?
I think it might be 2 different. We're looking at a board planning session in June. I don't know where we're going to review goals, mission, that kind of stuff. Probably a separate thing, or?
There's mission statements and so forth in there, but that's mainly, I believe, that is in the AGs.
Okay.
Administrative guidelines.
Okay.
So having vision figured out to feed in how we approach our policies isn't, I'm overthinking it, okay.
Other questions for Wayne? Okay, well, what I think I'll do is, tomorrow or later this week, I'll get in touch with Wayne and looking at starting the process. What we kind of thought was, we'll start with a couple sections, so, Wayne had 2 of them that he thought would be good ones to start with. Distribute those to you, where we can kind of look, you'll have them in your possession, that way you could go through them, and that way when we do get together and meet, we'll be ready to go. If everyone comes prepared, does their homework a little bit, we should be able to hopefully get through a couple sections each time we meet. That work for you, Wayne? Does that make sense?
Do it for me. Just let me know when you want to see me here, and I'll be here.
Perfect. Appreciate that. Anything else for Wayne?
What was the
Thanks so
cost
much for
again?
coming down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ward.
What was the cost again?
Cost, Wayne, do you know offhand cost? I know that we had a contract come down.
The contract for the policies and the electronic portion, which is together anymore, is $15,400.
Okay.
And then if you want to do administrative guidelines, which is how you do it, which is the administrators do later, that's $10,000. And then each year, you're going to get 2 updates. And matter of fact, I just got one Friday because, you know, every year that legislature meets and the laws change. We just had a lame duck session and a lot of things change to get in it, so we have to go through and revamp our policies and so forth. You'll get 2 of those. Those are $1,225 each, one for each one. And if there's special ones in there, it's no cost.
And those will be the only ones that we would do annually, the updates at that point.
Once we get to that portion, then annually, twice a year.
Okay.
We'll do biannually.
Yep.
I'm gonna come down and either meet with Al, your superintendent, or a board committee, or with the full board, just like we're doing on the drafting, and go over them. And then you have to do, once we go through them, then the board has to do first reading, second reading, approve, it goes in, it's entered in on the web, and they format it, and it comes back on your policy will be online.
And that's just for the deltas each time, right?
For
So the changes.
the changes
Right.
would go right into your policy. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It works real slick.
Very good, thank you.
You do need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, consent agenda items?
Make a motion that the Board of Education approves all consent agenda items, including agenda, minutes, personnel items, treasurer's report, and bills as listed items A through C.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any conversation?
I have one question now. Rachel Terrace, who I know came highly recommended,
Yep.
and I heard she's just excellent. But I noticed in the application that's in the board book is rather sparse.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything in there.
Yeah,
And I'm just, as a function of good record keeping, you know, I would think that when we hire somebody, in this time we had to do it rather quickly, but we get that updated so we have everything in that packet.
Yeah, and we have full resume, Chuck, too, just so you know. I didn't include that in the board pack, but we do have that information as well.
Okay, all right.
Anything else? All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And that passes. And, let's see, administrative reports.
Yep. Ryan Melrose went home sick this morning. He made it in, was here this morning, and was really under the weather, so he went home. He said that anything that's in terms of events, he make sure he'll email them to me so I can forward them on to the board. So we'll skip down to Brooke.
A couple of weeks ago, we had our K-6 talent show. Mrs. Soltaire did a great job putting that on. The kids were, even despite all the snow days and missed rehearsals, they were just perfect anyways. They were very cute and good, and even Mr. Tim and Mrs. Soltaire did a little skit together. They were, I guess, ballerinas, so that was pretty silly, and the kids were very happy to see Mr. Tim up there on stage. So that was a fun night. Today, we had kindergarten through 6th grade students rotate through OK to Save program on cyber safety. It was geared toward each individual age level. The 6th graders had a huge aha moment when the lady instructed them on how they're actually able to block some of this stuff going on. And several kids had no idea that they could remove themselves from the situations without their peers knowing. So she's going to send us a handbook on that, so we're able to also get that out to all the students. Other than that, that's kind of only what's been going on these past few weeks. We've had so many snow days and a few days off for President's Day. But upcoming on March 7th, Nikki Degowski wrote a grant an EEF grant actually to bring in Cranbrook for Family Science Night. So we'll have 14 stations. We'll go through there and, you know, there'll be a lot of teacher volunteers and it's open to anybody who would like to come see that. We also, Algonquin will have our Leader in Me Lighthouse Readiness Check. So our person, our consultant, is going to come in and kind of do a mock walkthrough of what else needs to be done before we actually get our lighthouse review come May. So that's what we're focusing on getting ready for right now.
Very good, thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Sanders.
At Millside, since the last time we met, we had our spaghetti dinner. Our Lighthouse students did that. And they collected enough plastic caps and raised enough funds through the spaghetti dinner that they were able to purchase 2 buddy benches to go out on the playground. So they'll be real excited when spring comes and we can look at putting those in. We also had the Babylonian program come down last week for 1st grade and 3rd grade. That's from the St. Clair County Child Abuse and Neglect Foundation. They always do such a nice job. Our parent feedback is always very positive. It's a very sensitive subject when we talk about appropriate touch, and the kids respond well to it. So that went well. This Thursday we have Nature on the Go coming to Millside. They are from Goodles County Park, and they bring down some local wildlife as well as discuss different things about Michigan in there with the 5 senses for kindergarten and 1st grade classes. So they'll be in this Thursday after being rescheduled from 2 previous snow days. So we're going to make it happen. We didn't put it on a Wednesday this time on purpose. Upcoming though, we have March's Reading Month coming in both buildings, so lots of fun activities going to be out there. PTO has a bunch of events going on in March that we're really excited about. We have our book fair for March's Reading Month. March 9th, Saturday night, we have our daddy-daughter dance. It's always a big, big turnout, so we could use any help if anybody's up and willing to come on out that night. And the following Saturday on the 16th, we have Mother-Son Dodgeball. So busy, fun month. And if you've never seen Mother-Son Dodgeball, that is a true competitive sport. You'll have to, it's a little scary at times, but they sure do like it. On the other front, we've done some conferences over the last 3 weeks. There was a National Reading Conference, which a group of elementary educators attended, so we were bringing back that information. We have a Professional Development Day this Friday, March 1st, where we can share that information out with our staff for a half day, as well as get ready for Leader in Me readiness checkpoints and adjust all of our data. I just went to a federal programs updates for the laws and different things that have changed there as well. So speaking to Mr. Latos and what that looks like for our federal funding. And Ryan will speak to you more, but Ryan, the high school has the RESA math consultant coming down to work with the high school as well on some initiatives that they're looking for in place. So.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Susan.
Yeah, so we just got a few things going on. We just wrapped up our popcorn fundraiser with the Goodies Factory. We did well. We sold $2,400 worth of product, and we earned 40 to 50%. So that'll all go back in the program towards our PQA rating and getting all the equipment that we need for that. March is Reading Month, so we're looking for some readers to come and read to the preschoolers. If anybody's willing, we'd love for one of the board members to come. That would be fantastic. And then we have a training coming up next week for the staff, dealing with difficult behaviors. We have Christina Howard coming from CMH, she's a behavioralist, and she comes and helps us in the classrooms a lot. And we're just kind of working with the kids all the time on social emotional stuff. And so she's coming to give us some extra pointers on how to handle those small little behaviors. So that's what we have going on.
And just another one for Susan. She just went through a licensing review just this past month, and this was her first go around through it, and got very good feedback from the consultant from the state, and we're in good shape over at daycare. So nice job. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
That's it. Yeah.
All right, board reports.
I got one. We are currently meeting with the committee to update the website. Hopefully we'll make it smoother, a little bit more interesting to look at. And
Awesome.
we're planning to have everything done, ready, all the bugs out of it by next September. Hopefully to debut it at open house, so.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully it will solve a lot of problems. Other than that, that's it.
Awesome. I can share that Heidi, Janice, and I went to MASB conference here a couple weeks ago. It was pretty cool. And we dug in. I don't know if you guys have thoughts, but I'll share, at least from my perspective, I sat in on a lot of sessions for board presidency, just trying to figure out how to do this well, not screw it up. So it was really, really insightful. So I've got a lot of stuff I'm kind of noodling over. The one, kind of interesting takeaway that, knock on wood, is I think we're in a pretty good place, it feels like, compared to a lot of other people that I talk to there, whether they're trying to get their bonds passed or they're dealing with, we got to close schools, or they've got, their own internal board strife, if you will. I listen to a lot of conversations that we don't deal with. So that's my,
It's funny because I was at the conference that led into the MASB conference, and there's just a lot to be said about the board cohesiveness. I talked to an awful lot of superintendents there that are right now in the process of trying to wade through a lot of internal stuff going on, and makes for a lot of gridlock. And I mean, there's times that people are going to have different opinions, and that's always going to happen on boards, but it certainly can weigh a district down too, and that's what some of my colleagues were telling me, so that's interesting. You kind of heard some of those same things too.
I heard some of that too.
Yeah.
They had 3 here and 4 here, and they were
Yep.
warring against each other, or 3 and 3 and 1 in the middle.
Yeah.
Hard to make progress with that, so I guess we got to be thankful for what we got here a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely, because there was some that just, they weren't talking to each other, or they were asking specific questions to kind of get into something with other people, and we were just kind of there, and it was relaxed, and we were able to talk and
Focus on the
I
right
was able
things.
to get questions
Yeah.
answered and some new, so it's really helpful to me. I'm just glad that they have those classes available.
Yeah. Yep. That's good.
All right. Superintendent's report?
Superintendent's report, yep. Update on the snow days, and it went out in the community update probably as good as I could explain it. There's still a lot of talk right now at the state level about when the governor declared those emergency days, that those may possibly be forgiven, but we don't know that. So where we sit right now is we had 10, we had 6 built in, we have 3 that will waiver for that likely will be forgiven, which would leave us with 1 over. Now, if the governor does forgive it's not her, she's pushing for those days to be forgiven. It's really the Attorney General that would make that decision. If those do end up getting forgiven, then we're good to go, and we're just knock on wood that we don't have any more days we have to deal with. If not, we have 1 day, and then we have some decisions to make on how we want that to look. We've talked about the potential of going on Easter Monday, because we have that day off. That's something that we've done in the past, and it's worked. I get nervous because I worry about us making our attendance for that day. We have to have 75% attendance for us to count the day. Fortunately, I don't know that many people travel on that day, but some probably will, so it would be something to ponder. Back in the day, we could just add minutes to the end of each day and end up coming out okay. Well, we'll meet our minute requirement, but we won't meet our day requirement. So that's not a possibility. So, then that puts us into, we never end on a Friday. We always end in the middle of the week. Well, this year we end on a Friday, so we would have to come back the following Monday. But I will watch that closely. I'll keep you up to date, and when that time comes, we could have some conversation about what we think's best for the kids or the community here, so.
Should we get that out there, that we're thinking of using that Monday, so people kind of
Probably.
Get used
get
to the
the idea
idea.
that maybe we shouldn't go away, or?
Probably should put it out there that it's at least a possibility. Yep, I'll do that. Yep, I will do that. Also in the community update that went out, you saw that we have some good kids doing some things, and highlighted actually by an upcoming one, which will be this Saturday down in Detroit, for actually Friday and Saturday. 7 wrestlers going to the state finals, which is a real cool thing for us. We haven't had that number in quite some time. It'll be pretty exciting. That group's been pretty solid all the way through, the ones that are seniors this year. Real good news from the tech department. We had 2 of our students finish, one first, Marquette and Lisa Atherton finishing 3rd in collision repair. So they'll go on to Grand Rapids the first week of April and compete there and see how they do at states. The robotics update we talked about, but that's coming up right around the corner. That's April, Phil, correct?
Yep.
End of April. So yeah, a lot of good things going right now, and a lot of positives there from the district for kids doing good things. So talked about our board workshop date. I did secure June 25th at 6 o'clock with Bill Bonick. He seems to think be about a 3-hour event, start to finish. He'll get me more information about what the board could do to prepare a little bit to make that efficient night as well. But if you would mark that down on your calendar, I'll send out a reminder to you as well. But 6 o'clock on June 25th. And then very last tonight, just want to let you know I have begun putting some materials together to promote the non-homestead millage that will take place in May. The plan is to have a trifold, much like we've done in the past, and just kind of explain all the highlights, make sure that the information's out to the community. Certainly have something on our Facebook page. We'll have something on the website, but I'll also get that out in the form of a community update as well. So I think that's about it for me.
Did we end up getting any other items on the ballot?
I think we're the only show in town.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
we are. So all the more reason to hopefully
That's right, yeah.
get this one through for 4 years.
All right, thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Action items, budget amendment.
Visitor and their request.
Oh, good call. Visitors and their requests. Right, none.
None.
Sorry. All right, no visitors.
Can't skip over that.
Yeah. Action items, budget amendment.
A motion that the Board of Education approves the resolution for Budget Amendment Act Number 1 of 2018-2019 for the general fund as presented. A complete copy of the resolution shall be attached to the original of these minutes.
Support?
It's been moved and supported. You want to fill us in a little bit?
Sure. If I could call your attention to page 36 with the yellow highlighted revenue and expenditure summary. This compares the original budget that the board adopted back in June of 2018 to the budget amendment here requested today. The major highlights are an increase in revenue, a net increase of $46,749, and a revenue increase, a net increase of expenditures in the amount of $265,645. This is due mostly to the same increase in the revenue and the expenditures of the Michigan School Safety Grant in the amount of $127,530 added to both the revenue and expenditures, and then an adjustment of the state MIPSR's buyback funds that flow through our books as revenue and then go right back out as an expense. So that was a $183,000 adjustment of the retirement flowing in and flowing out. Also, this proposed amendment reflects the shared revenue payments that the board approved in December. At the bottom, we have a projected 9.39% ending fund balance if we expend 100% of our expenditures, which we won't. If we don't spend 400, we're over 12%, 12.17%. So that's good. Last year, the ending balance was 14.98%, so we end this year, worst
Right.
case scenario, of over 12.
And that's also with the idea that we don't get any increase from the state as well for next year going forward, right, Dorothy? That's
This is just an amendment for this year.
Right.
You know, for this current year. Next year, we'll build the proposed
Right.
budget, you know, on what we hear as far as revenue increases.
It's the governor's bold.
From the governor's.
right. Dorothy, maybe maybe share a little bit about the phone call we had with Moody's.
I am hopeful that we will have a good outcome with Moody's this year, because we've been beat up so many years, you know, for 3 years in a row. Our fund balance went up, you know, we have a continued decline in students, so that may be, you know, a downfall still for us, because the futures aren't great as far as the students go, but I'm hopeful that we'll have.
But things are in order.
Yeah,
right?
and our conversation even with the lady from Moody's, you know, and she shared, you know, the declining enrollments one I don't think will work as negatively against us, because we've already weathered that storm. I mean, we're losing a little bit still, but we're not losing at the rate that others still are. We already did that. You know, when people moved out and we had took it for a while, but you know, our numbers are starting to balance out a little bit. Our decline's slowing down, and I think a lot of others are still fighting that. So, might actually work as a positive for us. I think that we were able to raise that fund balance even with the declining enrollment and even with the flat funding that we've had for several years. So, knock on wood, hopefully we get a little bit of a better rating this year. Like Dorothy said, it's been a few years of humble phone calls, so we'll see. Yeah. When did she say that they calculate our rating for that?
She said she'll let us know in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We'll receive another
I'll share
call,
that
so
with you.
We'll share that with you.
And, go ahead.
It's still a very big change compared to where we've been.
It is.
For the board members that are new, when we've sat here and we've been in the hole so far,
Well,
it's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's nice to not worry about, like, if a boiler goes out, if we're gonna be able to replace that, or if we're gonna have to get the duct tape out. So yeah, it's better. It's going in the right direction. We just got to be smart with it and make sure that we're you know, don't let the guard down. Stay conservative and make sure that we're putting that money towards the right things. So.
Does a more favorable rating like immediately translate into
It's for bond.
certain benefits?
When
Yeah.
you go out for debt, it's more debt related, you know, for bond issues.
Yeah.
But it's for borrowing.
It's
Yep.
still,
Sure.
And so it's a good, we need that outlook, you know, for future borrowing. But we've got what we need right now in the current debt and with the sinking fund village. So we're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Passing that was a relief.
Does our bond rating affect our insurance?
I
Or
don't think
payments?
so. We have set SAG, and they have most of the school districts in Michigan as well. It goes up modestly each year, like it always does, but no, that is never a factor, so they say.
Yeah, so they say.
They do inspect our buildings and ask, you know, will there be future construction? And so that is also an increasing factor. If you're under construction, insurance cost goes up. So they do ask about what you're doing to the buildings. And they also tell you what's wrong with your business as well, when they review it.
Thanks.
Any other questions, conversation? All right, for action item A, budget amendment, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes. Thank you. Overnight trip requests, boys baseball.
I'll make a motion, the Board of Education approves the varsity baseball team's overnight trip request for April 19 and 20, 2019. The cost of the trip will be covered by parents and fundraising. There will be no cost to the district.
Support?
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any conversation? Questions? No? All right, for action item B, overnight trip requests, boys baseball, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes. FRC robotics.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approves the Algonac Robotics FRC team's overnight trip request for March 14th through the 17th, 2019. The cost of the trip will be covered by parents and fundraising. There will be no cost to the district.
Support.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any questions? Conversation? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? That passes as well. And wrestling state finals.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approves the wrestling team's overnight trip request for March 1st and 2nd, 2019. The cost of the trip will be covered by parents and fundraising. There's no cost to the district.
Support.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any conversation? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. And last but not least, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support. Moved and supported. Any conversation? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Have a good night.